The Fujifilm X-M5 just came out. It's $899. This is the LUMIX S9, which has been a camera that I've loved using. Panasonic also just gave us a new firmware update, giving us unlimited record time until it overheats, which people have found it going for several hours before it overheats, as well as this nice compact lens. This package right here costs $1,000 more than this package that Fuji just launched with a similar kind of combination. Plus, Fuji also gives us some things that I wish this camera had. I'm going to talk about it in this video. And full disclosure, Panasonic did give me this camera, but I'm not going to really hold anything back. Anyways, this camera here has been one of my favorite tools to use, taking pictures of my kids and running around just kind of being normal dad mode, using this thing all the time. It's got basically everything under the hood that the S5 II and the S5 IIX have, which makes it a really powerful tool. This camera doesn't have a headphone jack, but does have a mic jack. The X-M5 does. This camera does not have a flash sync port, so you cannot use a proper flash. The X-M5 does. This camera has LUTs, which are kind of like film profiles that you can customize. Well, the Fuji has film profiles that Fuji kind of pioneered and is like wildly popular on the internet. People love making film recipes, so that's fantastic too. The X-M5 also kind of fills an interesting hole in Fuji's whole lineup because the X100V took off like crazy on TikTok and became one of the most popular and sought after cameras in existence. And the X100VI didn't really address all the concerns and issues with the X100, just kind of made it incrementally better. And it's definitely a pro camera, not for everybody. Well, the X-M5 is essentially an X100, but for the masses. It comes in both black and silver, and it's interchangeable. So with the kit lens, obviously you can kind of get away with it. So many people are going to be using it with this kit lens. But obviously Fuji has a whole lineup of small, very tiny primes because APS-C is their primary crop factor that they make. And they've got really great lenses available. Well, LUMIX, they've got great lenses too, but this is a 70-200 LUMIX. It's huge. This is your standard nifty 50. I'll put that on here. And yes, it's a great lens. It's a good price point. It's an f1.8. But you can see how this really gets off balance pretty quickly. This lens is really designed for a bigger body, which is why they made this compact zoom lens, which they're now shipping finally. But this is a slow lens. This isn't very good. I really want a prime lens that's about this big. And sure, even if it's f2.8, that's fine. Give me like a 24 or 35 millimeter f2.8. That works. But in Sigma, it does have some offerings as well. The 45 is what so many people have told me to get, the 45 Sigma lens, f2.8. But it's not good enough for me. I really want LUMIX to make their own lens. I feel like they're going to do the best. So you've got all these big lenses for this small body, which I really love. And the thing that I did enjoy about this camera is the film profiles and kind of the size. But now it looks like Fuji has made a camera that's very similar size, if not smaller, with more dials, more customization. It's, you know, this camera doesn't have film simulation built into it, which I really like. And it's got a dummy flash. I mean, I can't believe that this doesn't even have a real flash on it. So many people want to use this kind of like a Leica with an on-camera flash. You can't do that with this camera. You can with the Fuji. And like both of them, you could put a very expensive prime lens on here, either the LUMIX ones or even Leica lenses if you really wanted to, from the L-Mount Alliance. But what's great about the Fuji system is their lenses are much, much smaller. They're designed for the system. All of these full-frame lenses were designed for the larger bodies, and the S5 lineup, which is their most popular camera to date, the S5 II and the S5 IIX, these lenses perform beautifully on it. They balance well. I just want small, compact lenses here. But to recommend this to an up-and-coming creator, I do recommend it. It's full frame, it's small, it's compact, it's got the flip screen, and now with the firmware update, you don't have to worry about a time limit or anything like that. But again, it's $17.97 for this kit here. If you were to add a prime lens, or you really need more than one, really, you know, if you want to get a 35mm f1.8, I believe that one is a couple $100 plus, say you want a wide angle for vlogging. You know, the LUMIX 35 1.8 that I recommend is normally $700. It's $600 right now. That's getting pretty pricey once you add all that up. Compare that to the XM5 coming in at $900. And check this out. Some were saying, okay, well, this has open gate, you know, 6K recording and all the, you know, same film features of the LUMIX system that you're used to. Well, the thing that blows my mind is they didn't hold back on the XM5. This camera has 6.2K up to 30 frames per second open gate, 10-bit internal, with a flip screen, with a headphone jack on the side here. I love what they kind of came up with the mic jack. I'm surprised nobody else has ever done this before, but there's actually a mic jack right on the back here. It's kind of hilarious and a great solution for a small body. It comes in this really black and silver, beautiful kind of look, but obviously if you want all black, that also looks nice. The silver, in my opinion, is really nice for the retro-infused styling. And it uses the same Fuji batteries that we're used to. It seems to get decent, you know, power times and stuff. It's got the Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. I would imagine that LUMIX has a better app. I really do love their app on the S9. The new LUMIX app is great. And, you know, this is the X100, but cheaper and available with interchangeable lenses. Is there an EVF on this? No, there's not. Do I wish there was? Sure. But I've also found that not having an EVF on this has become less of a problem to me than I thought. Because this is a everyday carry camera and I'm just using it to take pictures of the kids and just snap photos quickly and video occasionally, I find using a little flip screen is fine. So if we're going to just ignore the EVF and compare this to this, I think it's a fair comparison. And I hate to say it, but the Fuji seems more compelling and a better value to me. You get the flash sync, you get a headphone jack, you get the flip screen, you get the same kind of open gate vertical shooting modes. I believe there's even a new mode where it'll actually shoot vertically on the open gate sensor for a 1920 by 1080 image that captures it in camera. And I think it records the 6K. That's a really great feature. They're really leaning into the creator space. And 1080 is fine for TikTok and YouTube. I know Jordan Drake in his video said, well, just shoot vertically. It's like, well, 1080p is fine. It really doesn't matter. There's AI algorithms here. I don't know. I just wanted to put this out there and say, though Panasonic is crushing it, in my opinion, with this, I think it's too expensive. I think it needs to be, to compete with the Fuji, they're going to have to cut the price pretty quick. Like this $17.97 package here should be $12.99 in my opinion. And if I were to remove the lens right now, it's at $13.97 while they're already taking $100 off and this camera's brand new. So they're already doing a sale on it on B&H at the time of this recording, $1,300. I would say that this without a camera, without a lens, I think it really should be $999, like right under $1,000 for this thing to become a better value. Now, obviously, this is full frame. The Fuji is not full frame. It's APS-C. I do think that has a huge advantage. I think this is quite interesting. I'm not seeing anywhere if this has an actual shutter, mechanical shutter or not. I wonder if they've removed that from the X100 or the XM5, similar to how this doesn't have a mechanical shutter. Also, the XM5 does not have the best-in-class IBIS system that this has. So if that's of value to you, obviously the S9 wins. I just think the price difference is quite astronomical, going from $899 to $1,700 with the kit lens. Like this is literally $1,000 more. Maybe it's worth $300 or $400 more, and you get that full frame. Unfortunately, Panasonic's going to just have to be very competitive with their cameras because they're the underdog in this scenario. Fuji's been making these really great vintage-inspired, retro-inspired cameras for such a long time. Canon and Sony have their foothold in the marketplace. Nikon is even crushing it recently. I do think Lumix has done a great job winning over a lot of the kind of butthurt Sony and Canon fans who are filmmakers, because the S5 II and the 2X are so affordable now. You can get one of those used for like $1,300. And even though the S9 received a lot of backlash when it first came out, it's proving to be a very popular camera. And now with the firmware updates, it really unleashes the camera quite a bit with no record limits anymore. Shooting 6K, 10-bit 422 internally on a camera of this size. I mean, but for your everyday consumer, which I know they were trying to hit with this, it's just too expensive. I can't see my next door neighbor who is deciding to start a YouTube channel and comes to me and says, "Hey David, what camera should I buy if I'm starting out on YouTube?" I say, "Hey, yeah, check out the S9. It's a great camera." They're going to have sticker shock as soon as they see the price, because your everyday consumer is just not used to spending $1,700 on a camera. That's as much as a very bad used car. I was going to say used car because I remember when I was a teenager, which was 20 years ago, I could buy a used car for $1,700, but I believe now for $1,700, a used vehicle would probably be quite terrible. But that being said, an $899 price point makes sense. I mean, that's cheaper than an iPhone. You know, a standard iPhone Pro is going to be $1,000 or $1,500. Buying this camera, the S9 with a kit lens, is costing more than an iPhone. I think the XM5 is going to give better quality video and photos than an iPhone. And you get a flash sync, you get a headphone jack, you know, you get better lenses. That's the thing, when you buy into a system, you're buying into the lenses of that system. Fuji has some of the, you know, if not the best lenses for APS-C, because that's the primary system. You can get these very compact primes, you know, this 23 f2, very small, compact, fast prime. Like, that's what I'm looking for my S9. I want a lens that looks like this, that's small and compact, that's a prime lens with a fast aperture. You can get that on Fuji. And this new camera gives you a mount system that allows you to start investing in lenses that are small, compact, great for everyday carry. You get that wonderful X100V sensor, which everybody wants, but it's also interchangeable. And you get the flash sync, so you could do that on-camera flash thing. I hate to say it, but this is a better value, I feel like, for the compact camera market. I don't have any hands-on with it. I'll have to maybe get a hold of one and do a test with it. Still a huge fan of this LUMIX system. I think the video quality is best in class. I would imagine it would perform better than the XM5. But that 6K open gate on this little Fuji is pretty impressive. What are your thoughts? Let me know down below. And get ready for more thumbnail content, because this channel will be pivoting towards that moving forward.